dumped me at my best friend's wedding 2 years ago. And now he's living next door with the woman he left me for, constantly asking me to keep quiet because their baby can't sleep. Let me back up, because the audacity of this situation requires context. I paid $2,100 for that trip. Flights, hotel, spending money, all of it out of my own account. I had been with him for 4.5 years. I was the maid of honor at that wedding, which means I had spent the entire week before running errands, managing timelines, keeping the bride calm, and holding everything together. He waited until the reception, until after the vows, until after the first dance, to pull me aside and tell me he wanted to be single so he could work on himself. 4.5 years, $2,100, not even a conversation on the plane ride home, and he chose that moment. I did not cry. I told him I respected his decision. We finished the holiday together to keep things civil, and we agreed to keep cohabitating until the lease sorted itself out. We had rules, boundaries. If either of us did something that made the other uncomfortable, we would say so and deal with it like adults. 5 days after we got home from Greece, she was in his bed, in my house. The same woman he had been spending hours on the phone with for months, the one I had raised concerns about and been told I was imagining things. She was there within 5 days of us splitting, staying over, walking around my kitchen in the morning like it was the most natural thing in the world. I had it out with him, he gaslit me, she kept coming back. It escalated in ways I am not going to get into here, except to say that by the time I finally looked at him and said, if there is even the slightest chance you are getting with her, get out of this house, I was not the same person I had been a year before. He moved out 12 hours later. My little brother moved in a few months after that. The house started feeling like mine again. I started hosting the way I always had. Card nights, wine nights, a few friends over in the garden with music on in the background. Nothing that ever ran past 10 or 10:30. It was the life I had wanted the whole time I was with him. Quiet and easy and actually mine. Then I got a text in an archived WhatsApp thread I had completely forgotten about. It was him from a few weeks earlier, letting me know that he and she and the baby were moving in next door to me. Not down the street. Not a few blocks over. Next door. Share a wall, share an entrance, look out your upstairs window directly into my garden. Next door. I stood in my kitchen and read that message 3 times before I fully processed what I was reading. They moved in 4 months ago. The first week, I got a text on a Saturday night at 8:30. Hey, can you keep it down out there? The baby is trying to sleep. I was in my garden with 2 friends, music on at a completely normal volume, not even close to 10 o'clock. I read it, set my phone face down on the table, and kept talking. The second week, another one. Just so you know, we can hear pretty much everything through the walls. I want to be respectful about it. I put my phone in my pocket and went back inside. The third week, he came to the door himself. He looked tired, which I understand. A newborn is brutal, and I do not dispute that. He said they were really struggling with the noise, said the baby had not been sleeping through the night, and any sound at all was setting her off. Said he would really appreciate it if I could just give him a heads up before I planned to have people over. I looked at him for a moment. I thought about the $2,100. I thought about the 5 days. I thought about standing in my own kitchen watching her make herself at home in my house, like I was the one who did not belong there. Then I said, you chose to move in next to me. You knew exactly who I was and how I live. I have been hosting people in this garden for 2 years. I am not changing anything. And I closed the door. That Saturday I had 6 people over instead of my usual 3. We sat up outside, poured drinks, played music, and stayed in the garden until 11. At 9:20 his bedroom light came on. I watched it from my chair for about 2 seconds. Then I leaned over, turned the speaker up 1 notch, and went back to my conversation. He texted me at 9:45. I did not open it until the next morning. Here's what I want people to understand. That baby is innocent and I genuinely feel for her, but she is not my responsibility. What happened in that house? What happened at that wedding? What happened to my life while I was busy keeping the peace and lowering my voice and making myself smaller so everyone around me could stay comfortable? That is not something I am continuing to pay for. Not in my own garden, not in my own home. He made his bed, he just moved it next door to mine, and I am not turning the speakers down.